Very good. Okay, that's fine. Right. On you guys, maths. Oh, okay. We'll just loosen up a little bit. Just find him a little bit above that. I'm settling down, even taking it front and back. Good. And take it side to side. And take it to rotation. And then taking it into an open and close it. And just freely move in any direction, mixing them all in. There we go. And take a nice deep breath in, reaching right up. And nice slow breath out, hinging down. And you come up curling up through the spine. Very good. And the last one. Good. And we'll just do a spinal release. Just bring the arms out to the side, nicely breathe in. Then we're going to trace through the center line, releasing the head, releasing the neck, all the way through the spine, nice and slow down. And as you get to the ground, just release out the shoulders, the arms, the wrists. Choose a gentle pulse from the hip. And create a pulse from the tailbone to the top of the head, the fingertips. And just release out the shoulders a little bit. And just coming up, tracing up through the legs, stopping at the knees, and just taking it to a little bit of spinal flexion, extension. Make it a little bit more flexible. Just think about activating the legs and pulling the body up to a vertical. So focus still on the spine. Just activating the legs a little bit more. Rolling the head up and down. And just coming up to the top. Good. Then take it to the sides. Left and right. And taking it to the shoulder. Up and down. And then thinning out through the chin. A side movement, pulling the whole side of the head, one side and the other. And then nice and carefully just circling both ways. I'm just going to the shoulders, start with opening them up and drawing them close at the front. Just draw them through it. Open up the palms, again reach the back of the hands together at the front. Good. And circling them around. And releasing the elbows. Also opening the chest, the shoulder blades at the back. And releasing into circles. And changing big circles forwards. Holding the elbows. And just the shoulders roll into the front. And just open out to the side. Gentle shoulder tap to the front. And loosen out the hips, finding the shoulders. Making it like this, taking the elbows back. Reaching up and over the sides. Through, come back, reaching up the other side. Very good. Coming back to center, on the hips, big circles. And change direction. And bring the feet together, bending at the knees a little bit. Taking a little bit of step out and just take it to circles. It feels comfortable, just dropping a little bit lower at the hips. Switching the direction. Just lengthen the back a little bit, pressing the toes up off the ground, pulling the toes up towards the face. just go into a few toe taps, just with the big toe, pulsing down. And then pressing into the ground, press and hold. And then spreading the little toe away from the big toe. Think about fanning the toes, making the foot as big as you can, pressing all the toes down into the ground. And just relax the toes, relax the foot, and then just think about as if there's like a towel underneath the feet. You're just trying to grip it with the toes. Good. And just relax into the foot, shifting the weight side to side, gently rolling the ankles. And then just switching inside to outside. And then rolling up onto the toes, sink the weight back into the heel. Pressing the weight into one side, roll out the ankle a little bit. And switch. Very gently on the toes. And off the floor, circling. And change. And just extending the toes out, just pointing in different directions. And then next we just keep the leg straight, pointing out, and just travel the leg around a little bit. If it feels like difficult with the balance, you can either use a wall, or just keep the leg a little bit lower so it doesn't have to go high, but just think about keeping it lengthened. Think about mobilizing the hip. And if it feels comfortable, just explore different directions. And then shake it up. Great, press the weight into that foot, and then we'll do the other side. Rolling the ankle. And changing direction. And then gently over the toes. Circling off the floor. Change. And then pointing up, just exploring different positions. And then again, just keeping the leg straight. And just mobilizing the hip. Shake out. Great. And just go to the wrist a little bit. Pressing the hands together. Rolling them one way. And change. pressing the palms together, nice and tight. And then play with it, just releasing it. A few seconds, hold, and then release. One of the things to think about curling the fingers in, if you're making like a ape hand, pulling the fingers to the knuckles, and also the thumb as well. And then think about lengthening out the fingers and also spreading them away from each other. So you try and make your hand again as big as possible. And now spread them away. And just do a little bit faster, flicking them out. And just gradually let the arms come a little bit close to the body, let the forearms come close to the body, and then the flick is going to go a little bit further down. Keep the arms quite tight to the body. And then release them away as you do it. And just working with a nice tight grip. So you can make a tight grip and keep the shoulder released. Just play with mobilizing the shoulder a little bit, mobilizing the elbow, mobilizing the wrist itself, keeping that nice strong fist shape. And then just start to work with kind of winding movements. So again, keeping the fist tight, but feel that you can mobilize in the whole joint system of the arm. Wrist, elbow, shoulder, forearm as well. Very good. Just slowly releasing the hand, wiggle the fingers a little bit, and shake them out the top. And releasing the arms down. Shake out the legs a little bit. And bring the feet down and shake everything out. And just make it a bit tighter each time, a little bit smaller, a little bit calmer. Settle the weight into the ground, into the feet. And just want to feel an impulse from the center of the body. Very good. Okay, grab a bucket. We're going to continue with the bucket a little bit this week. Okay, so when you're ready, just come into Kamai and just start with a big movement using the first movement, just releasing through. So we're just starting to just find the back, releasing the sword straight through the center line, and just really allowing the cut to release all the way into the ground. No focal point for the movement, no sense of striking, just finding the arc, letting the weight shift to the back leg, and then shift evenly into both feet. Good, keep going. We'll just go one thing which is quite a subtle difference between the form. It makes a big difference in terms of the body's structure. So it's a bit difficult to show, but I'll try and exaggerate it. What I don't want to do in this case is just the body kind of presses forward, something like this. So that the body's literally just kind of pulling forward this way. The sword is in a way just passing forward and just through the center. But the sense is going to go into a little bit of a subtle rotation here, and that's going to come from the hip movement. Because if you think about going forward, would be fine if the hips are kind of flat, straightforward. So if I've got this kind of position with the feet, and then this position, then the hips are basically just going forward in this pattern. Totally fine in terms of movement. But think in terms of what we do in Aikido, which is all kind of spiral work. What I want to do is think about the hip going here and then actually opening up this position. Now this is tricky to do because if I overdo this, then I rotate the whole top of the body and I come into these kind of positions. So it's a very subtle movement, but it's basically allowing the footwork here and then the hip work to just open a little bit more. But it's easy now to kind of lose the center. Okay, so just play with it. I'll try and show it from the front, but again, it's a little bit tricky to show, but if you think about the hips just kind of pressing just forward, or the hips actually opening up into this movement. So there's a very subtle opening of the hip, and that's like the front and the back hip. The back hip is just as important. So you are mobilizing hips forward, but you're also adding into that very subtle rotation and opening of the hip. And that's going to allow the spine to just spiral a little bit up to the top of the head. And just explore, just in terms of movement, think about just passing forward with the hips. Just go forward, and then just allow the hip to open out in that movement. So the actual, the hip position, the foot position is guiding you into that. If I just let it open the rest of the body, it just kind of settling. But if I push into the curve, the tendency is to just push forward. So it's going back to this like drop. All spirals I basically need to drop into in terms of the groundwork. I just need to basically drop into the spiral. And that's just accepting the hip's going to open. And it's just going to receive the upper body into it. And also the spiral's passing down through the legs as well. But main thing is just notice that natural opening of the hip. And the sword pattern in the sense of the weight coming down is really going to emphasize that opening of the hip. Now do the same, it's a little bit harder to find on the side, but think about the left side, left leg forward, same pattern. Think about drawing up to the top and then just releasing down. Drawing up to the top, just releasing down. Because the arms are crossed over, the tendency is for the body to get kind of caught up a little bit. So just find that pattern, just allow the shoulders to release naturally again back into the body. That's the main reason for this curve, apart from passing through the center line with the sword, that sense of just arcing the sword down. It's also to really allow the shoulders to just release back into the body. And at the end of the cut, when you're in the ground, just feel that again. There's a very subtle open of the hip, rather than just press forward with the body. Okay, a little bit tricky to find. If you really struggle with this, I sometimes struggle with the left side. Just go back to the right and just feel what happens on the right side, and then try and get the same kind of feeling on the left. The other thing you can do is just drop the arms away from it as well. So just take the bokken out of the equation. Just notice what the shoulders would naturally do in that position. But again, because you're a little bit crossed, well, you are crossed with the arms in terms of connection, it can be a little bit trickier to find it. Yeah. So. And then keep the cut the same and just play with changing left and right. So you're going to basically cut through this way. Again, that's very subtle opening the hip. And then you're going to bring the feet together in this one, touch the back and drop into the cut. But again, use that step back now, or the drop back of the leg again, just to emphasize the spiral down into the ground. So really what I'm looking for is the hips to basically drop into the feet and not to be kind of pulled, pushed forward. So just think about dropping into a spiral basically. Again, letting the sword pass through the center line. And again, in terms of movement, the clearer that 𝘭𝘪𝘦𝘴 passes through the center line, the easier it's going to be to actually start to emphasize that subtle spiral down. the sword's kind of all over the place, it's going to also throw the body out a little bit. It's not as easy to find. And once I've got this feeling for the hips, you can then start to play with it, which we will. That's good. And then we'll mix these in a little bit. Add in now that like you're going into a zengo-gi. But again, just release the sword down. The special thing now is that you're doing the rotation, and then you're really settling again into the ground here. So again, just play with the sword a little bit. Sometimes it's easier also with this one to just release the hands. Release one arm. Don't release both. But the key now again is to enter into that very simple spiral through the rotation now. And again, the key interest is to drop the hips and drop the center weight into the feet equally. Clearer that is as a it's going to be to find it. That's very nice. There we go. Right. Good. And then just play with mixing these up. So you've got kind of three choices in this case. You can do the cut basically on the spot, like you do the first route, drawing the foot back, dropping in. You can cut by bringing the feet together and then dropping back. Or you can cut by rotating to the rear and changing the side. So just mix them in, just freely. And if you want to stick with one pattern, just stick with it. If you want, just really mix them all in. But again, the key is just to get a feeling for the hip, that spiral. Opening of the hip. That's coming down. That's up. Good. And then with that hip work as the base, just start to bring the cut in. So keep the cut reasonably light, don't go too strong with it. And just again, just feel that the hip works in place. Switch, hip works in place. And again, just explore those three patterns. Drawing the foot back, drawing the feet together and dropping into the cut, or rotating. You feel kind of losing that feeling again, just feel free to drop back into just arcing the cut down. So if the focus starts to take up too much tension, it starts to pull you forward, starts to pull you out of that feeling, draw back into the body again. So, but as long as I can keep the hip works now, keep the hip work strong, spiraling down, add into the extension. And if you feel really comfortable with it, just start to add a little bit more extension, a little bit more focus. So you're at the full power cut. Good. So we'll start to work on stepping now. So these are basically standing positions, just different ways to go into standing position, also entering into rotation. Now really going into a step. So we're looking really at the 𝘭𝘪𝘵. So in this case, again, play with this movement. And if it feels comfortable in the step, just go to the film that you can find a focus. So you've got a choice. You can just step through and slice through into the arc. Slice through into the arc. And if you feel comfortable with it, finding that rotation in the hip work, just adding a little bit of a focus into the cut. Like, just play this exercise up because Adrian's not going to walk and he's also doing empty-handed. So the main thing with this, think about the arms basically going to contribute into weight or delivery of weight into it. So play with this, it's just an empty hand movement. Same movement, it's like this, you step through, you bring the hand up, and it's going to be a strike basically delivered with the back arm this way. Okay. So just play, don't worry too much about the hand yet, we'll do some kind of details with it, but just think about the main thing is that the arms basically swinging through. Okay, so the feeling is weight basically down. So that's always the case, and especially in terms of stepping, the tendency is to hold the arm out in front of the body. But try and feel that you swing the arm up, and then you drop it into the feet. So feel that the arms basically contributing weight down into the feet, basically. So you go forward. Play with both hands. You probably find it easier. I find it always easier to use the right hand, but play with both. Oh, you've got a pocket. You're just not using it. Very wise. Good. Ceiling. Okay, good. But anyway, it's good exercise. Okay, yeah. Think about the same thing. So what you're looking to is deliver the hand and the hip, boom, into the ground. So think about this hip as it rolls through, presses the hand up, and then draws it down into the body. So kind of held at the top, something like that. But yeah, you're looking to basically deliver the hip and the hand and the weight of the body into the ground. So the hip is basically delivering the weight of the hand, boom, down. That's it. And it's one of those, this feels silly to do it, but really play with also really releasing the arm. Boom. Yeah, really release it out, and the feeling then is that just the weight of the arm can pass down into the body, and it's not being held up at all. It feels like a really silly exercise. It doesn't feel powerful at all, which it isn't. But what it does have is weight. Yes, that's it. Good. Okay, and then we'll bring the handwork into it. So in this case, you want to make a reasonably tight hand, something like this. So the key thing with this, although it doesn't matter too much in solo work, don't think about hitting with the fingers and don't think about hitting with the joint. So like here, think about hitting with that part of the hand. Okay, so it's the heel of the hand, the back edge of the hand in this case. So think about kind of tightening that up. But yeah, I don't want to feel that tightening is going to kind of lock the rest of the joint. So the fingers are tight, the hand's tight, but it's not going to kind of lock the wrist up this way. So play with this. Again, it's usually easier just to work a couple on each side. You think about raising up and dropping the weight in. Okay, so you can think about delivering the strike through. Yeah, but the main feeling is the delivery of the weight down, and not to feel that the arm's being pulled out from the body and also held up. So think about always dropping down. And that same hip work we're exploring with the sword. That sense of opening the hip. Yeah. And in this case, it's just passing down like a 𝘭𝘪𝘵. That's it. And then you're practicing now the practice to basically step and deliver weight through the hand. So just do one exercise for this. If you think about the target for this, it will be basically right at the front of the head, or basically for the forehead. So sometimes on the bridge of the nose, but basically coming right into this kind of space. Not necessarily practical, but also in terms of like a devastating blow, it's not. What it is very distracting in terms of movement. So what I like to think about is this: as you come through, think about the point where you would actually make contact on the head this way, and then think about from this point basically driving through this way. So that's the contact point, but you're basically driving the weight through it this way. So just look at basically the inflection point of the technique, which is like where I've made contact, and then where the rest of the body will basically drive and deliver the weight through the hand. So again, the main thing is not to get this feeling that I'm kind of pushing out through the hand. That you're using the hand to make contact, and then using the hip to deliver the weight into the feet. So again, just play with it. It takes a bit of imagination, but it's that stopping at that point, and then just feel that the hip can roll the arm down. And again, that hip works the same, that very subtle spiral. And now seems to deliver really into the front of the head, and then drive the weight down through it. Really the same feeling you got with the sword, totally the same. So the tendency now is to do this when I go for the head is something like this, and then drive it down. But really think of this as like an down, just this, and then driving the top, so that the strike's basically coming down this way. We do the 𝘱𝘰𝘦𝘴 where we're kind of coming up into this space, but that's using the upper arc to strike with it. Think about this one, and you're actually actively driving down the hand. So it's that kind of motion hit, but not that kind of motion, and then trying to find the arc. So look for something that's very clearly an arm. I'm basically going to be open at the top of the head, and then driving down as you press forward. Yes, a few more, and then we'll switch. Very good. Very good. So 𝘱𝘰𝘦𝘴 is not very practical in terms of a strike, unless I've got actually a weapon with it. So it's really actually a weapon strike. We're not going to do this, but we're going to look at a more practical application of this, which is basically going to a 𝘥𝘰𝘦𝘴. So this way, it's the same hand shape, but I'm basically going to deliver this. This can go either, basically the target's the weak part of the body, it's the temple, or it's here to the side of the body, or to the collarbone, and basically go into this position. So it's basically 𝘥𝘰𝘦𝘴, which is all this side part of the body here. Really not a nice strike to actually deliver with it, but think about the same kind of principle. As you come up, you're going to open up to the top of the head, and then you're going to really start to arc the hip out. So the movement now is to come up and then arc the hip away. So what's going to happen is the hand's going to follow the hip. This, and it's going to go into this position. So the strike's now being delivered to the side of the head, or it's being delivered to again the collarbone, the side of the neck, this kind of area. And again, the heel of the hand is the blade edge of the hand is what's making the contact on this one, not the fingers and not the joint of the hand. That's it. And again, the key is that the hand is being delivered on the hip, driving it down. Yeah, just mixing both sides of this a little bit. Okay, now think about the backhand with as well. So it's always good to kind of coordinate the arms together, but they're always going to do different functions usually. It's rather than kind of doing the same thing with both hands. So think in this case, as you come up, this hand's actually going to go into a protected head. So think about as you come up now, this hand reaches up as well, and then it's going to basically stay and protect the head here in this position. Okay? It's used either as a block, basically protect the head, but it's just to have the hand in place so that it's useful. What I don't feel is that the arm's kind of open and I'm basically left exposed. So it's also a good one because it's going to pass up through the center line and basically hold the center line. So I'm basically protecting the center line with this hand, which can go in this area. So it's basically as you're striking down, it's going to just feather, and I'm basically going to allow this hand to protect. So now as you deliver the weight out and down, you've also got the protection of the hand. And the first thing is just to coordinate the hands together, get them working together. And just look at this idea that the hand's actually going to protect the center line, and it's actively going to protect the head as you go in. This way. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of an exercise with this. Just be careful, especially if your heel's a bit tender. Play with this. You've got to strike this way, and then think about rolling underneath this way. Roll underneath, and then strike the same side to the back. Okay. So the setup like this: do one to the front here, and then think about rotating to the back, opening back out to the top, and then striking to the rear. So both strikes are done with the same hand. You deliver basically one to the front. You rotate. Deliver one to the back. So again, you can mix both sides. The strikes delivered with both hands now, and you're dealing now with a spiral into the rotation, opening up, and into the second strike. It's that same issue delivering weight. You just got a rotation before it, which makes it a little bit tricky. Okay, now we'll do a little bit more complicated one. You're going to switch the hand each time, and you're going to add an extra step. So it goes like this way, and then as you rotate, now you're going to step back, and then you strike with the back hand. Okay? So the setup now is do this in twos. Don't do this kind of repeatedly. Think about striking one side, rolling back, and then striking the other. And then reset. Go to the other side, strike to the front, step in, rotate, strike to the rear. And you're switching the hand now each time. You shift it anyway. rotating side and then striking the back leg. So they're both now delivered with a Okay, we'll finish with one more. Again, be careful with this, especially with a dodgy ankle. You're going to go now into a rotation, so the strike's going to be delivered in the spiral now. So this is a little bit different from basically delivering the strike forward. Do the last bit, the hardest bit at the end. Think about spiraling into this and delivering the strike through this way. Okay, so the strike's going to be delivered as you enter into the rotation this way and drop into the hip this way. Okay, so play with this a little bit. The easier way to do this is just to keep the spiral a little bit, or keep the rotation tight, this, and then when I'm kind of comfortable with it, just start to open it up a little bit more. But I need to feel that the weight's basically entering in the rotations, which is generally what we're very bad at in terms of rotation, rotating without weight. Okay, so this exercise really requires weight to be entering into the rotation this way. Just play with it a little. But again, you can make the rotation a little bit shorter, which means like just basically doing a little bit of an angled step. And if it feels kind of comfortable, just start to open out the angle to the point where you can basically change the position entirely, and again apply weight down to it. It's Catherine. Yeah, this is actually very true. Yeah, so the danger in this movement is this, that you're actually moving back as you strike. So what I don't want to do in terms of energetically is like this, get pulled back and try and strike. So think about that you're actually coming in as you strike, you're just opening out this way, but you're not kind of energetically pulling back. This is what we do all the time with the sword when we do partner work. You actually move back a lot of the times, but energetically I'm forward. Okay, so even though I do move back, my feeling basically goes down and forward. So this kind of feeling rather than this kind of feeling going back. Okay, so physically going back, but energetically driving down and forward. Yeah, that's it. The other image you can have with this, if you think about having like a very heavy, I think about like a sack of potatoes. I think you've got something on your shoulder and you're basically rotating in and slamming down. Okay? But I'm not basically rotating down, trying to pull back somewhere this way. It's going to really pull you out. So think about all your energies basically going down into the ground. Applications of this are really varied, but a lot of them basically apply with the weight actually being down into the ground. So we're training striking, we're training bokken work, but actually most of the applications of this actually end up being body work applications, especially in terms of working with a partner. Yes, nice, great. Yeah, good. Great. And this is where things like sacks of potatoes, kettlebells, all these kind of things are good to train with, just to explore actual weight. Yeah, good. All right, good. And last one, just a second, just to cool down a little bit. Find their shoulder width, and it's just about just again the weight. So think about raising the arms up. Now the key things that the arms don't kind of push down. Think about just dropping them down into the body. So think about this all the time we do this. So think about kind of raising up, cutting in, raising up, cutting in. You know, just let the arms just drop back to the body. The key thing is just letting the shoulders release now. Especially do a lot of shoulder work like this, the tendency to drag out of the body. Bad place to finish. So just think about dropping the arms up into the body. You can also to the side, drop them in. Let's just feel the arms going to come up and come down, back into the body. They can come up and back down. And last week, just notice the breath as you do it. Just try and bring the breath into the movement as well. Let it contribute to that feeling of relaxed heaviness. And the driver all the time to the hip, into the feet, and stuff. Good. Good. Okay, we will stop right there. Good. Great. どうもありがとうございます。
どうもありがとうございました。
Okay, great. Thank you very much.